trying to do. And then I'd be speaking to somebody in passing, and I'm not trying to have no conversation. And then they want to have a whole full-blown conversation about what they've been going through, this, that, and the third. And it used to bother me so bad, but then I started to realize that they needed me in that moment, and for me to be able to pour into them. And it would always end with, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And I'm like, God, you got me talking to these folks. I don't even know who these people is, but I started to realize, okay, you got something else planned for me to be doing this. And so when I'm out now with my kids and we at the store, they be like, don't make eye contact with nobody, because you'll be here all day talking to folks. And I'm like, I'm just speaking. I'm not trying to have conversations with folks, but this is what happens. And I've learned that when those moments happen, it's because somebody needed me that day. Mm-hmm. And I always start my day with, God, take me where I'm needed. And that could be just going to the grocery store to do something, or going to the laundromat, or whatever the case may be, and help me to do whatever it is you call me to do. Because I realize that when he sends me out in those moments, because that's the prayer that I put out for the day, he leads me where I'm supposed to be. And it's always the confirmation that somebody needed those words of encouragement that day. They needed it in that moment. And so I don't get stuck on time frames anymore. I don't get stuck on, well, why am I running late? Why did this happen? Why did this door close? Why didn't this door open? That door closed because it wasn't time. It ran its course. This door opened because it's time for me to walk through this door. This person had to leave my life because their assignment to me was over. And so when I started to look at things in that aspect, because that's the way God designed it. And so when people leave my life for whatever reason, it's because their assignment was up. Even though I miss my mom, I understand that it was her time to go. She had done everything that she needed to do here. And she's no longer suffering. She's no longer in pain. But he kept her here long enough for us to heal the relationship that we had. And in the beginning of my mother's transition, when we first had to put her on hospice and everything, I was adamant on not being there because I had been doing it my whole life as a little girl, trying to get my mom help because she was suffering with drug addiction and alcoholism and being bipolar schizophrenic. It was a lot. And as a little girl, I didn't know how to help her, but I did everything that I knew to try to help her. And so that created a little bit of animosity. But anytime my mother needed me, I would still show up regardless. And at this point in my life, I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be there because I got my own issues. But the more I realized, I didn't want my mama to be there alone. I wanted her to know that she was loved, that she was cared for. And so regardless of how tired I was, I went every day to be by my mother's side when I got off work. And I stayed there and I was with her. But I also remembered the prayer that I prayed when I was a little girl. God, please help me to be with my mother when that day comes because I don't want her to be alone.